Are you nuts?
Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. But today, on one of my off days, I love to do non-financial videos just for insight, just for conversation, to spark up a discussion, to may even give some people insight and perspective about how they go about their daily life, and just have some really good information according to the way that I look at things and how you may start to look at things after this video. Well, one of the things that most of us struggle with is our religion and our spirituality. And most important of all, especially to foundational Black Americans, is Christianity. And the question that always arises, was Jesus African descendant? Was Jesus an Israelite? Was Jesus white? Okay. And you see the picture in the thumbnail. The white picture represents all of the above. It represents the Arabs, the Israelites, white people, etc. Because we need to understand one thing. When we look at America and the way that we describe certain people, we may describe them as white in America. Now, people don't understand how America actually classifies people. This is how America classifies white people. White. Okay. And this has come from census.gov. This is a federal government website. And right here, right now, it tells you, it says a white person. A person having origins of any of the original people of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. Again, a person having origins in any of the original people of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. We must first define, when we're talking about was Jesus African, Israelite, or Arabic, what is considered white. So essentially, no matter if you believe he's African descended, Arab, or an Israelite, they still, both of those two people descend from where? The Middle East. Here is a picture of the Middle East, essentially. Let me zoom out. Here we are. So the Middle East, if we zoom in, and we also believe that God, Jesus Christ, is from Israel, okay? Nazareth. Nazareth is a city in Israel. So this is the Middle East. When we start talking about Jerusalem, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, Iraq, Baghdad, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the list goes on and on. Syria, Cyprus. Okay, we move over Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. This is all considered the Middle East. So essentially, according to the Bible, according to a lot of religious historians, Jesus of Nazareth is from Israel. And now it's considered the Middle East. So in the matter, we consider those people white. Okay. It doesn't mean that Jesus was necessarily white Anglo-Saxon, does it? Not necessarily, because we need to understand in the great book that people love to believe, verses 14 and 15 describes what Jesus was like. His head and his hairs were white like wool. Automatically, people of African descendancy believe that he is Black because of his hair. And his hair was white as snow. We also get white hair as well. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. Now, in modern day times, we may think he has really light brown eyes. Okay, really light brown eyes. And his feet like unto fine brass. So automatically we think, okay, brass is kind of like a golden brown color. And as they burned in a furnace, and his voice is the sound of many waters. So we would like to break down those particular colors. We're like, oh, brass. So this is what brass looks like. Okay, that could be a light-skinned Black person, or that could be a tan Arabic or Israelite person. Could it not be? But when we're talking about burnished brass. Now we're talking about a darker hue than most other colors. But when we started to define people of Israel, we mostly look like white people, okay? Because essentially they are Middle East, and when they come to America, they're considered white. We need to really define these things because essentially we're trying to define our spirituality, and we're also trying to define our religion. But we need to understand what it originated from in order to believe it and to respect it in order to follow this doctrine. Because following this doctrine, simply because you grew up as a Christian, simply because your parents grew up as a Christian, just because you believe you was baptized in fire, just because you believe you came out on the other side, does not mean that the religion that we're currently serving was a religion that was created by us and that they're describing someone of African descendancy. Because we need to understand that. Now, granted, with a grain of salt, there are Black Israelites. There are Black Israelites, okay? Take, for instance, they're carrying out this person right here. She looks melanated, okay? She looks melanated, and we can scroll through certain pictures here. Here's a melanated person. Some of these people within the crowd are melanated. And then we look at these brothers here. Look at these. He is dark as brass. But does he look of African descendancy? No, he does not. No, he does not. This gentleman right here is an Israelite. Excuse me, he's not an Israelite, but he's in the Middle East. So Middle Eastern, believe it or not, also have some of the same complexities as African descended people. And their hair, untamed, unmaned, is just like wool. That is what we need to understand. So here's wool, right? Which mostly describes how a lot of African descended people hair is like. We have really thick, woolly hair, we would like to believe. But in course, we have really fine hair, really curly hair. But when we look at other people, we're like, wait a minute. This white guy has woolly hair that is by design. He didn't do this purposely to his hair. And we know who this guy is. He's the guy that paints and all that good stuff. But his hair is like, well, so I'm like, oh man, he got a white afro. No, this is his natural hair. So when we break down the origination and how people essentially look, we can start to blend different people into each other. So we go back to Arabics. Most likely when we look at Arabic people, we're thinking about white to brown people. So when I'm looking at these guys now are essentially like Israelites. Okay, we're not looking at Israelites because again, Israelites could be black too. But then again, this is so confusing because these are not Israelites from Israel. These are Israelites from America. And then we have to look at this particular point. Black Hebrew Israelites are not the same as Black Jews or Jews of color. Not all Black Hebrew Israelite organizations are anti-Semitic or extremists. And it goes into the Black Hebrew Israelite movement is divided into organizations or sects that operate semi-independently across the United States. So essentially this whole Black Israelite thing have originated in America. But I digress. Let's go back to the people because that is most important. And as we scroll through these types of people, this guy here is of a light brown color. Arabic people have some melanation, but even though they have light melanation, this person can look like a light brown skinned person. Nonetheless, he's considered white when he comes to America. Then again, we define what was Jesus. Was he black? Was he of African descent? Was he an Israelite? Was he Arab? And we need to quickly define this because guess what? There are dark Arabic people as well. This guy right here, this lady right here, they all have melanation. Some are lighter, some are darker. This guy right here, they're saying these are people of Arabic descent. Here's an albino who is considered Arabic. So when we define these people and we look at their characteristics, could they not have been of Jesus? Could they not have been of Jesus? I know this is very intriguing in some sense of the word because we will always try to make the image of Jesus in the way we look at it, just like white people, just like Arabic people. But my question is, if we believe in Jesus, so if we believe in Jesus, you have to believe in the book because the book is your reference where you reference Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit, also known as the Holy Trinity. Some people are like, oh, I don't believe everything in the book. Then that goes against the contradiction of what Jesus Christ came to fulfill the prophecy for. So essentially, it's like, so again, the question is God of African descent? Is God an Israelite? Or God is Arabic? And some of you are saying, well, there's black Israelites. Of course they are. There's black Arabic people. Of course there are. But does that mean that God is black? Because again, when we start looking at certain people's pictures and certain people's ethnicity, when I look at the continent of Africa, with the exception of Trump right here, I don't know why they threw that in there. I said African people, they got Trump. African people are not considered people of brass or bronze. We are people of onyx and ore. We are dark-skinned people. We are highly melanated people. Now, we got Tip inside the chat room from Periscope. He said, are you talking about Jesus or God? No, we're talking about Jesus. Was Jesus, listen to the title of the video, brother, was Jesus African, Israelite, or Arab? That's what we need to understand. Majority of the people on the African continent are this complexion, highly melanated people, dark skin. Dark skin. And again, we can look at brass all day. That don't look like ore. That doesn't look like onyx. That doesn't look like coal. We are highly representative of dark materials in nature. That's what we need to define. But we would like to make everything black. See, in order to reinforce our brainwashing, that was the residue, was the remnants from slavery. We would like to believe, oh no one's going to rock me from my religion. No one's going to change my perspective of the way I believe in Jesus Christ. Jesus done all these things for me. This is how we easily get manipulated. This is how we easily get misled, because we don't define the origin of anything. We don't define the origin of anything. This is how we are easily manipulated for the powers that be in order to get us to do things we wouldn't normally do if we had the education, if we had the information, and we had the intellect and intelligence to follow our own path in order to do our own things. Am I saying Christianity or religion is bad? No, I am not. I'm just saying, have you ever defined the Savior that you follow? Where's his origins? Where did the Bible come from? Your reference book, the only book that you read that defines your religion and your faith. Where was that book created? Now, you didn't know that book was created in Europe. That book was created in 325 AD during the first Council of Nicaea. That book did not originate in Africa. The book didn't even originate in the Middle East. It originated with Constantine trying to combine Rome and Vatican together. They were both separate entities. Rome was split in half as well as Vatican. They needed doctrine. They needed a spiritual guidance to have a higher deity so people can fear and revere in order to join Rome and Vatican together. You don't have to believe me. The point is, do your research, but we don't like to do research. We just like to be entertained and then say, oh, I believe this, that, and the other. The reason why this subject keeps coming up on this channel is because I still remember on multiple dates that black women will ask me, do you believe in God? I said, yes. They're like, they kind of figure out through the way I said it, do you believe that the Lord Jesus Christ is your Savior? I say, no. They say, what? I believe that there is a God, but when you start to do your research, it rocks your very fabric of what you believe in. Because essentially, this book was created and developed, and I've heard the story of these were, blessed men by God who put this book together in Europe during a time of division, during a time of divide. We never defined these things. And then African Americans, aka foundational Black Americans, When we receive this religion, we receive this religion hand over whip. Hand over whip. This is where we receive this religion. And this was transcended down. This was passed down. Just some of the way our thoughts are passed down from hundreds of years, the way that we still practice certain things, so was our religion. Because religion was forced into our ancestors' lives, which then again transgressed and forced into the children's lives. And here we are today, still believing in a religion that was formed based upon division of a city that they transcended out to all of the Americas and to the world. Now, prior to European colonization, Africans had their own religions, had their own cultures and traditions that did not relate to Christianity. And when you really look at Catholicism with the Vatican got their Catholicism and their hierarchy, the way they built up their church, from Egypt. And for some of you guys, I just want to point this out because for some reason, some people still don't believe that Egypt is in Africa. This is quite daunting. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Egypt. And just to zoom out, there's Africa. Egypt is in Africa. Egypt is in Africa. So when we look at these things, we're so dependent on what people tell us instead of what we read. So if this was the Bible, people just read the Bible. No one reads anything outside of the Bible. But if you did any research of the Council of Nicaea back in 325 AD, you would come to find out there were other books of the Bible that did not make in the Bible because it would stray away the thought pattern of people from the deity, which we called Jesus Christ. Now, that was the Old Testament. And when it came to Christianity, that's the New Testament. Because essentially, when we look at, again, we look at God and we look at Israel, we're like, well, he's Jesus of Nazareth, which is a city in Israel. And the language is Hebrew. I'm just trying to break it down to give you some context, the way people may never thought about it. So let's look at something different. When we look at this, okay, when we look at this, the Old Testament is the original Hebrew Bible, the sacred scriptures of the Jewish faith, written at different times between 1200 and 165 BC. The New Testament books were written by Christians in the 1st century AD. This is information that we normally do not come across. This is information that we don't usually define, that we should, because this can free a lot of people in the way that they think about their religion and the way they go about their life. Now, granted, with this new wave of millennials and generation Y and Z, they're not so believing of certain religions that was passed down from their parents and their grandparents. They're starting to figure out, well, everything in my life is real according to tests and research and data and feel and touch and smell and hearing. Everything is real that is backed by some sort of research, tangible data, and my senses. So it's easy to create a figure. Does anyone know there's over 4,200 religions and majority of the people believe in one? Now, here's a question. If you were born in Africa, in southern Morocco, as a dark-skinned person, 9 times out of 10, you would have been Muslim. You would have believed that Allah is the one and true God, not Jesus Christ. And we know how a lot of these religions kind of blend into each other. Some of them mention Jesus, but we need to understand, where did the Islamic faith come from? And Muslim, well, Israel with Jesus Christ. And then you have the North Arab Emirates that consider Africa, the top northern cities of Africa. We can look at that very quickly. The Arab Emirates. We can look at the Arab Emirates. More times than not, the Arab Emirates is northern Africa, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, so on and so forth. Those cities that are essentially a straight line to the Middle East. So we can essentially find out why mention of Jesus is in the Holy Quran as well. Now, granted, again, there's over 4,200 religions, but majority of people only believe in like 5 of them. You got Christianity, you got Islamic and Muslim, you have Hindu, you have Buddhist, and then I'm gonna throw a wild one in there, the spaghetti monster. That's a real religion. That's a real religion of a deity. See, we can make any religion that we want. And so some people do not believe that religions were created. Some people do not believe that religions were created. They believe that a higher power created the religion. That's not the way it worked. Man created religion. Then some people are like, well, God, he created spirituality. No, man created spirituality too. You are the leader. You are the deity of your own path. And again, for those who just joined it, do I believe that there is a God? Yes, I do. I believe that there is a universal God. I believe there is a supreme being. But I do not believe there's one book that contains any information for us to follow. I know. I got people dropping off and jumping on the screen because people do not want their religion and faith to be rocked. Again, I must say this. I am not saying that any religion is bad. I am just saying that sometimes in some people's life, that religion can be used as a hindrance. Religion can be used to coerce you. Religion can be used to manipulate you. Because essentially, during the Council of Nicaea back in 325 AD, they devised this book, the Bible. They devised this book in order to control people. During a time of unrest, they control people to calm down, to stop the violence, to unite the cities. Then when they realized that it controlled people, they used it for authority, power, position, and money. And people are hard pressed to believe that this is not created by man. And then the question to my foundational Black Americans is, why would you be in a different continent and during the transatlantic slave trade be sold and traded and taken from your homeland to a foreign land just to be whipped, tortured, maimed, give you a different name, and then replace your traditional religion with their religion? Why would they give you their religion? And then the only Bible text or Bible verse that they read to you is, slaves, be obedient to your master as you are obedient to God. Why would they do that? If it wasn't trying to control you psychologically, because if I can control you psychologically, everything else falls in place. Everything else falls in place. So you're not a heathen or a non-believer is not speaking, because I believe there is a God. But I'm telling the truth. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a Muslim. I don't know if he's a Christian. I don't know if he's Hindu. I don't know if he's Buddhist. I don't know what he is. But if I read a book and the only book I read was the Holy Bible, the only book I read was the Torah, the only book I read was the Quran, then I will believe what's in the book. If the only book I read was the teachings of Buddha, that was what I would believe. You reinforce your manipulation and brainwashing by reading the book, just like anything else. A software engineer will read and practice on software and read about software. It reinforces his knowledge and education. The more times you read things, the more times you hear things, it starts to become reality in your life. And every good thing in your life is God, and every bad thing in your life is the devil. Well, the question to you, my friend, is, who gave the devil, who gave Satan his power? Uh-oh. Water break. Who gave the devil his power? Who gave Satan his power? Because we can go back to Genesis where God cast Lucifer out of heaven. But let's not forget that God, the Christian God, is omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing. So he already knew before Lucifer was going to be disobedient and jealous of him. He knew that he was going to cast him out of heaven. He knew it. Then he must have already known, because he is the first to last, omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing, the past, present, and future. So he already knew, when I cast Lucifer out of heaven, he then will enter the serpent, and then the serpent, with the spirit of Lucifer, will convince Eve to eat of the tree of knowledge, good and evil. But Eve, by the way, will convince Adam to eat of the only tree set in the Garden of Eden that God said, do not touch. You ever felt like you've been set up before? Let me ask you a question. Why will God put a tree in the garden that tells you don't eat of this tree? Why put a tree in a garden that you don't want anyone to touch? I would have left that tree up in heaven. I want you to really deconstruct and critical think about what I'm saying. If you are all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipotent, why would you put a tree inside of the garden and say you can eat from any tree in any bush except that tree right there? And I just want to picture you making your kids or making your husbands or wives' favorite dessert, warm, fresh, yummy, sweet, succulent, and you put it on the counter and you tell them you can eat of anything else inside the house except something that is so delicious, something that you might not have had, but you're just itching to have. But by the way, there's somebody I'm allowing to convince you to eat of something I told you not to. And I already knew this before it happened. And then, even though I knew what I was going to do, and I knew that the first sin on earth was going to be disobedience, I then was going to punish you for doing so, even though I knew it. So the question is, if your husband or wife, your girlfriend or boyfriend, your kids was going to the mall and you already knew that there was going to be an active shooter who was going to kill everyone, and if your kids showed up, they was going to die, would you send them anyway? Would you send them anyway? No, you would not. So again, if I already know the future, then why would I set people up in order for them to live a harsh life from that point on? That is because this is a book of stories for manipulation and control. See, you have to establish a story. And what people don't understand, during the Council of Nicaea of 325 AD, there was 318 men of religion, bishops, to create this document, to create this literature. And the one thing that we fight over more times than not is one simple verse out of the entire Bible. Was Jesus black, white, Arabic, or Israelite? But the main reason is black or white, because again, I showed you where America doesn't matter, right? If you are from the Middle East, you are considered white. So they consider people from Israel white. They consider people from Saudi Arabia, Israel, Jordan, Jerusalem, all of these places white. This is from the census.gov. It says white, a person having origins in either the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. Of North Africa. These people are considered white. Then it says black or African American, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Can someone that was born and raised in Africa, or someone in the chat, can you tell me a black racial group in Africa? What the hell is a black racial group of Africa? There's no such thing, America, of a black racial group in Africa. They are called countrymen. They're called tribesmen. If you're from Nigeria, then you're Nigerian. If you're from Kenya, then you're Kenyan. There's no black racial groups. 90% of the whole entire continent is melanated. There's melanated people in Morocco. Morocco is considered North Africa. Are they white? See, they're basing color, they're doing this color caste system based upon regions where they know majority of Arabic, Islamic, light-skinned people derive from. You didn't see, they say South Africa, but there's a lot of white people in South Africa. They didn't see the state of Congo, but what are the black racial groups of Africa? Then again, I defined, was Jesus white? According to America, he was. Because if not, then we really have to take it out of context. If Israel is in the Middle East, and America considered white, and we got Jesus of Nazareth. Nazareth is a city in Israel. Then Jesus must be white, even if he's black. I'm going to read some of your questions. I'm going to read some of your comments. Let's see here. It says, J3 says, religion limits spirituality. Israel's part of Africa. They made a man-made river to cut it off from Africa. That is from Riri. Okay, we have, let's see here. Tip said the book said bronze if it was burned. Okay, share this video. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. We got the Rook. He said the Middle East is also Africa. So why didn't they want or allow you to understand the whole book? So here's a question. So why didn't they want or allow you to understand the whole book? Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever read the Bible? I have at least 5 times. And I can tell you till this day, at a point in my life, I was an ordained non-denominational minister. And I can tell you, no minister I've ever met, any bishop, did not understand every text of the Bible. What they do is they fill in what they miss. They fill in. There's questions that no man can answer when a person is trying to believe in a religion that seems so unrealistic. Because at the end of the day, you know what they tell you? Have faith, my brother. You're like, okay, that doesn't answer my question. Well, there's some things that God, they start talking like that, like hot, holier than thou. Like there's some things that God has not revealed yet. Oh, okay. So I should believe in a deity. I should believe in a high power and follow this, and things still have not been revealed. Yes, just have faith. That's when you call blindly walking into a situation that you are easy manipulated and controlled by. This is why, I'm not going to lie to you, this is just my perspective as I see it. That's why a majority of foundational Black Americans, Black people in America, are Christian 1 and 2 Democrats. Don't hurt me. Then people would like to fight me about what's in the Bible. So here's a question. Here's a question. I want you to do me a favor. You can have your faith. I can't take away faith. We got faith all day. We have faith that in the morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to start walking. You do. You don't see yourself walking until you get up and do it. So you have faith. Just give you an example. Now, I want you to take away your Bible. I want you to take away every verse in the Bible. I want you to take away the very word Bible. You never heard the Bible. You never seen the Bible. You never heard any verse from the Bible. Then the question is, where's your religion? Where's your spirituality? Do you still have all those Bible verses to back up what you believe? No, you do not. You know why? Because even though there's been people who say they seen God, that God visited them in the hospital room, that could just be the lights. Your eyes are closed. It shines through your eyelids. I digress. But I don't want to take away from people's experiences nonetheless. But majority of people will come like, no, I've never had an out-of-body experience where Jesus, God, or whoever came to me. But here's the thing. Isn't your experience, isn't your out-of-body experience, isn't that higher deity experience based upon the religion you already believe in? Because if you was a Muslim and you was in a critical condition and you was in your bed and you prayed to Allah, wouldn't you believe that Allah came and saved you versus the Christian God? Or if you was Buddha, or if you was Buddhist, wouldn't you believe that Buddha did it? If you was Hindu, wouldn't you believe that the Hindu, I forgot the name of the Hindu God, but wouldn't you believe the Hindu God came and saved you? Wouldn't you believe that? Isn't your experience, isn't your faith, isn't your belief based upon and predicated upon which you have already reinforced before you got yourself in a situation where you cannot help yourself? You give praise and glory to the religion that you was born in or torn in or beat in when it comes to foundational Black Americans. We were beaten to this religion. We was coerced into this religion. We got into the religion to save our own lives. The slave master told us you either believe or you die. You either follow or you die. So all the religions and a lot of the traditions and culture were lost during slavery due to being in slavery, being under the whip. This is why we have these European-based names. Now, a lot of us, our parents, went outside the norm and gave us different sorts of names like Muhammad, things that essentially originated from Africa and in Muslim religion. But this is the things that we need to define, because we most definitely do not define these things on a critical level. It is hard from us to tear away, to break away, to disconnect our belief system, because this is something that we were born into. Before I could walk and talk, I was already a Christian. I did not have a choice. No one said, hey, brother, hey, listen. All right, we got this list of all these religions. We got a list of over 4,200 religions. And if you want to believe in a higher power, you can just start off with these first 10, come back in a year and do these next 10, come back in a year and do these next 10. So that's when people start getting frigid and frantic and they pull out their Bible. Well, no, the Bible says, no, you don't have the Bible, but you have your faith. Because in any religion, you can have your faith, but where's your book? Where's your reference? Where's your literature? Where's your documents to back it up? Because we could talk about the lost book of the Bible, the book of Jasher, the book of Enoch, the book of Mary. We talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's all these religious documents that supposedly derive from Jesus, derive from God. Oh, what about the 10 Commandments? What about this? What about that? But essentially, if people are just creating deities, just like these 4,200 religions, but the two most popular religions, okay, is Islamic and Christianity. Because these are the true religions that people advertise and market. And this country was settled by European immigrants. And I said settled, not founded. It's a difference. Okay. Foundational Black Americans, the descendants of slavery, are the ones who built it. See, Native Americans founded. Foundational Black Americans built it. But the European enslavers and immigrants settled it, essentially, to make it a colonization. So they brought their what with them? Religion. Even Native Americans have their own religion, and they were in this country first. But this essentially governments, because there's 3 governments in America. I mean, most likely people gonna say federal, state, and local, but it's most like federal, state, and reservation governments, because reservations where Native Americans live, they're their own sovereign country within their own sovereign territory within a country. Essentially, this is the corporation. But nonetheless, what we need to understand is they still believe in a lot of their gods. See, in Africa, they had many gods. Where do you think Greek mythology derives from? That derives from Africa. All these different gods. The god of the underworld, the god of the sun, this, that, and the other. But you would like to believe that your slave masters gave you a book that can save you while you're under the hand of a whip. You believe that your slave masters till this day, under the oppression of white supremacy, will give you a book for your salvation. Why is it in America that churches are divided, predicated upon area and or color? Now, granted, you have some very large churches where there's a mixed crowd, but majority of churches in America are segregated, whether it be Asian, Hispanic, white, or black. And some of you may even fight the good fight to say, well, Koreans or Japanese, you have a lot of people that don't speak English that well, so they go to a church where they actually speak Japanese or Korean. Okay, well, there's a lot of Hispanics who came over the border. Some of them really don't know English that well, so they go to an Hispanic church that speaks Spanish. Okay, what about black and white then? Why is that so segregated? Well, black and white, we're so highly divisive, we're so highly separated, but I thought that we all believe in the same God. Why is it that we can believe in the same God, but we're not united? That's because this God was created and it wasn't for us. But we will be hard pressed to tell somebody, ain't nobody gonna take my Jesus away from me. Oh no. I've been tempted, tested, tried, and blessed. I'm ready. I'm on fire for God. Or are you? Or are you believing in something that's fictitious, that is controlling every step in your life? Now, I said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't believe that religions are bad. What I'm just saying is some people use religions for good and some people use religions for evil. And what I've learned in this country is that when we first received Christianity in our lives, it was for evil. It was for control. It was for psychological breakdown in order for us to do something willingly for free. And when we came out of that brainwashing, see, some slaves didn't take that brainwashing. That's why you had a lot of runaway slaves. They were like, why would a God want to keep me in bondage? And see, when preachers and ministers and those few black people in slavery could read, they didn't just read what the master told them. They started to read the whole book. They're like, oh, something don't add up here. Something don't add up here. And this is the portion that we miss. This is the portion that we miss. But that's okay. We'll go over it. I'm just going to type it in real quick. I believe that we need to see it in order to believe it. Because a lot of times, and you know, here's another thing. What book should you follow? Should you follow the New International Version, the New Living Translation? Should you believe the English Standard Version, the King James Bible, the New King James Bible, the New American Standard, the NSB 1977, the Amplified Bible? They're telling you right here, ladies and gentlemen, that we have so many versions of the Bible. Which one do you want to believe? Let's go with the NIV. Let's go with the NIV. And we're going to scroll down. It says here, slaves, obey your earthly masters. This is what the slave masters did. This is what they continue to preach to us. And it transcended down into our ancestors. And guess what? That was passed on to you, to your mother and your father. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear and with sincerity of heart. That means love your master. Love your master. Just as you would obey Christ. Wait a minute, where did I get Christ from? Well, you got it from your white slave master. Oh, okay. So the white slave master is my Christ. Okay, got it. Obey them not only to win their favor, that means snitch on other slaves when they're about to run away. Win their favor when their eye is, when their eye is on you. But as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart, serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord. So when I serve my white God on earth, I'm serving God. Okay, I got it. As you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. So God will bless me whether I am free or slave. So it's okay being a slave. This is psychological Bible. This is what they use in order to control us, whether they are slave or free. But the one verse that was directly under this verse, they did not read. They say, stop right there. Verse 5, Ephesians 6, verse 5. That's it. Do not read verse 9. Wait, whoa. Why can't I read verse 9? No. You can read Ephesians 6, 5 through 8, but do not read verse 9. Why not? Because, and masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Whoa. You mean to tell me I have to treat my slaves with respect and fear and with sincerity of heart? Oh, no. Do not threaten them. I'm whipping the crap out of this slave. Since you know, I'm right here. Since you know that he is both their master and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. So you mean to tell me I can't rape these melanated people from Africa? I can't rape the women. I can't rape the children. I can't rape their men. I can't whip them. I can't hang them. I can't burn them. But wait a minute. If I don't read that, if I don't see that, then sure you can. They're just going to obey, fear you with sincerity of heart. And of course, they use many other verses to reinforce the brainwashing. When is the last time you defined your belief in your religion? When the last time you just say, you know what? Let me put this to the side. I'm just going to think about a couple of things. I'm going to write down a couple of questions. I'm going to try to define it without that, because I can be reinforcing my brainwashing. So I'm going to just leave that right there. But wait a minute. I have an attachment. I need this book. I was given this book when I was 5. I need this book. I depend on this book. This is everything I need in life. This is everything. I can't do nothing without this book. Well, what did God say? Well, I never heard God say anything. Well, what God is in the book. The word is God and God is the word. Oh, okay. Well, what about if I was Buddhist? No. You're a Christian. Let a black woman on a date say, hey, you believe in God? And they say, yeah, I believe in Buddha. Buddha? You don't believe that Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior? Oh, now you got a problem because I do believe in a God, but I don't believe in your God, the one that was given to you during slavery? Well, I'm Hindu. Hindu? Isn't that for Indian people? Well, I was born in India. Well, why don't you believe in God? Oh, man. Let's see here. Got a lot of notes here. Look at Ashley Hawkins. She said it's all a lie. Ashley Hawkins says, read Walter Williams books. Big actor, you've been going in lately, brother. Religion is created because of greed and control. I do concur. Learning Every Day says the Garden of Eden is so complex. It is. It very is. Because listen, if you read the Holy Bible and then you read the book of Jasher, the book of Jasher sets the Garden of Eden up on a mountain, but the Holy Bible does not. Dunzaki says they created religion to control of humans because they know we all sensitive in this topic. Somebody speaking the truth. Dunzaki, don't do that. Dunzaki, don't speak the truth on this channel because people don't want to hear it. People do not like the truth. What they like to do, they would like somebody to come in here and define and preach to them to reinforce their brainwashing because you're comfortable. I get it. I understand. I know why people are comfortable in their religion because you have something to fall back on. You have something to lean on. When good things happen in your life, all praise and glory goes to God. But when something bad happens to you, that goddamn devil, you can blame it on somebody. But the truth of the matter is, when good things happen in your life, it's because you did something, regardless if you believed in something or not. How is it that people who don't believe are highly successful? Don't worry, there's a Bible verse for that. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. Basically, the poor will be rich and the rich will be poor when it comes to the kingdom of heaven. Basically, they say don't worry about your earthly riches, right? It sounds so great because now you can be comfortable being poor, but at the same time, nobody wants to be poor. See, think about it like this. Foundational Black Americans, we believe in Christianity. We got all these Bible verses, all these teachings in outside of our head, but then we're in the hood wearing gold jewelry. We're wearing the latest fashion. We're wearing Jordans, but we live in apartments. So we're portraying like we're rich and well, while the book says, okay, being poor. So now we're so confused about what we should do. So should I invest my money and be rich and buy a house and live well? Or should I spend my money on materialistic things and stay in the hood and be poor? Some people don't even know where the confusion comes from. Someone says, have you studied the Igbo travels through Africa? Unfortunately, I have not. Unfortunately, I have not. That's not how Israelites work, Christian preachers do. Okay. Because we understand, brother. We understand, brother, that there are Black Israelites. But guess what these Black Israelites are? I'll show you some Black Israelites if you want to see them. Here they go. Here they go. Here they go. Here's your Black Israelites. Let me blow them up for you. Here they go. But where are they at? What's that flag in the background? America. They believe that they are Black Israelites. They believe. They necessarily do not know. Because again, when we look at it, let me get this out the way. Black Hebrew Israelites are not the same as Black Jews or Jews of color. Not all Black Hebrew Israelite organizations are anti-Semitic or extremists. The Black Hebrew Israelite movement is divided into organizations or sects that operate semi-independently across the United States, not across Israel. Again, we're essentially having a discussion about something that's totally fictitious in the way that I see it. Okay. I like what Reg said. He put good vibes first. Then he said, my religion is love. Then somebody said, yeah, brother, God is love. Love is God. But I understand what Reg is saying. And Reg, I am right there with you, brother. Because I love people for who they are. When people say, oh, God said don't judge. Man, we judge people every day, all day. That is why sometimes the worst people that you can meet are Christians. They're the most judgmental people that you'll ever meet. And again, I am not speaking bad about Christians. I'm not saying all Christians are bad. Just like anybody else, regardless of what religion you believe or follow, you're just a person. Either you're bad or good. And in most parts, religions have changed a lot of people for good. But that doesn't mean the main reason why the religion was created and developed for control and money. Tip said, Arabs told Africans you believe in Islam or beheaded. So essentially, you're saying that Islam, Christianity are both false religions, are both farce. Here's the question is, because I don't know. I'm just asking a question. What religion is real? What God is real? Is Zeus real? Is the sun god Ra real? We can make anything real. This water bottle can be my God. I know I'm being facetious, but this water bottle can be my God. Zulu, Zulu, Zulu. I'm like, this God right here gives me water. It gives me life. My body is made of 80% of water, so Zulu is life. Zulu is my deity. I know I'm being facetious, but just think about what I'm saying. Tip says Christianity creates for men a homosexual spirit, a hypocrite spirit, a pimping spirit for money. I concur. Maybe FBA needs to create a brand new religion for just us here in America. No learning every day. No, no, no. We're trying to remove ourselves from systematic control. Because here's the thing, when you create a religion, as they did, once you create this religion and you start a large following and it started getting popular and you got 100,000, 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, right? People are always corrupted by power. And the people who create this religion essentially will have people under them and they will corrupt them as well. This is the same thing that occurred in Africa with the colonization of Africa by the way of Europe. When Europe was leaving Africa, when they started to free a lot of African countries, they started giving them liberation back in the 60s. They already corrupted those African leaders. That's why Africa is in some of the turmoil, because the young Africans who want to get those old Africans who have been tainted, who have been contaminated by those European colonizers, are trying to eradicate that evil from Africa and that old way of thinking of greed. So again, absolute power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Take someone like Bishop T.D. Jakes. I guarantee you. So let's just take, for instance, I know Bishop T.D. Jakes. He has a very, very large following. Do you know in this day and time, even with the information of Jim Jones, that he took those people to Africa and make them drink cyanide? This is just for an example. This is for learning purposes only. I'm not speaking bad about T.D. Jakes, but T.D. Jakes could take majority of his congregation and do the same thing today, because some people believe that God is operating through him. And essentially, if God is operating through him, he is talking for God. In some instances, people see T.D. Jakes as God. That is how power works. Women are attracted to power, and men want to be close to power. You get what I'm trying to say? Women are sexually and intellectually attracted to power. And men, we want to be in power or very, very close to power. Power absolutely corrupts. All right, let's see here. It says Christianity prior to 70 AD is fake Christianity. That's what Supersonic is saying from Periscope. Steve Bryan saying I'm choosing the Mandalorian. Okay. Oh man, Tiff said nobody against European mindsets more than Bible believers, not church or preachers. Okay. Here we go. Your true living water. Here we go. I was waiting for it, and here it is. But I tell you, somebody's going to get a Bible and start preaching the word. This is what happens anytime I do these videos, because they can't do anything without that book. So the question is, what did people do without the book? Oh, well, God came down in Jesus' form, and he fulfilled the prophecy. Prove it. How is it there's no remnants There's no information. There's no fossil of anybody that was ever mentioned in the Bible. But we can find dinosaur bones and we can find old African bones around the world. Say Africans are the oldest people, but we can't find none of those bones. But I'm going to show it. Learning every day. This is a good point. Damn, I didn't think of that pyramid scheme. Exactly. United Church of God in Christ. Syndicated church. Is that a business? Is that a franchise? Don't churches get like tax write-off and tax deductions and they don't have to pay taxes? So is church a business? I don't want to get into that conversation because, woo, that's another one. I already know that church is a business. It's a highly profitable business. It's like me and you going to see a motivational speaker. We go in, we pay a cover charge. We go in, we pay a cover charge, aka tithes and offerings, and we get motivated. We get taught to, we get preached to, and we come out, we feeling great. And if we don't go write down what we heard, if we don't go act out what we heard, then we fall into, wait a minute, what did he say? He said Deuteronomy, what? He'll say it next week. I digress with that one. But I'll read what this brother got. For your information, we're not black or African. That is by the word to hide who we truly are. Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Brother, I'm not going to beat you up about what your belief is. But we can't even have a conversation if you don't even understand the origination of how you got your religion and your belief system. If you tell me that you didn't get it from the enslaved African and that you're a descendant of an ancestor, and so you are from Africa and during the colonization of Africa, that is what you got your belief system, and that you don't believe that the Council of Nicaea 325 AD created the Bible for the calming and the joining of certain cities of Rome and Vatican, then we can't even have a conversation because you don't even know where your religion come from. You don't even know where the information that you're reading and spewing from. See, that's the thing. When you start talking from the book and you can't speak outside of that, I already know that you are highly diverse and highly manipulated and highly coerced and highly brainwashed upon the word that you are reading, because there's nothing outside of this that you can critically think and tell me that can prove otherwise. He also says that the Bible is a culture, not religious. I believe that. I definitely believe that. Said Ross had a Facebook alter ego called Billy Craig Peterson. I was given the knowledge like you're doing now, and I shut down. Page is still up though. Look for a brother in a cowboy hat. Okay. Let's see here. People were living under the law of the Bible and didn't have a book. Older law equal when they documented. See, Tip, let me tell you something. And this is for edification. All of this information have derived for something. But when did God, whatever God you believe in, I don't even care what religion, when did God descend down onto the earth and say, here is my book from which I have given you? It amazes me how Moses went up to the Mount of Sinai twice. In some literature, some religious documents even state that the first 10 commandments is different than the second 10 commandments, but I digress from that particular situation and topic. But he gave Moses the book for which he has supposedly written by his finger or hand, and pass that on to Moses to give to the people who were worshiping false gods and false idols. Why didn't God come down and say, here is my book, and from which I am giving you to follow and to praise and serve me? Now, when we dig a little bit deeper into religion, wait for it. When we dig a little bit deeper into religion, we start to think about, wait a minute, when we think about Greek mythology and we start to connect the dots of Christianity with Greek mythology, Why does God need to be praised? All over the Holy Bible, God wants to be praised. God wants to be glorified. And then when you start to look at Greek mythology, how did Greek gods get their power? Now, I didn't research this before I got live here, but I'll do it right now. And I'm just typing in a simple question. How did Greek gods get their power? I'm just defining one question here, and I'm going to see the first thing that comes up. Let's see here. This is what popped up first thing. In Greek mythology, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades gained their power from other divinities. Zeus got his power from Cutes and Poten from his Helen, and Zeus also learned mastery and wealth from Hecate in Norse myth. Odin learned his power from Mimir. Let's continue. Can Greek gods become mortal? No, by definition, a god, deathless, that could not be killed, though they did sometimes symbolically die to rise again. Okay. Is there a Greek god of power? Kratos was a god of personified spirit, of strength and power. We can keep going on and on with this because essentially what everybody knows is that anytime you read a Greek mythology book or you look at a Greek, a movie or show based upon Greek mythology, the one thing that the people on earth had to do in order for those gods to obtain and get their power was pray, was glorify. Have you noticed that? But if I'm omnipotent, if I am all powerful, then why do I have to have people praise and glorify me? Why? Why do I have to spend hours on day praying on my knees, glorifying an omnipotent being who doesn't need to essentially be glorified? He can just be thanked. Well, thank you, God, for creating us. Then we don't even question our creation. God, why did you create us to die? You had angels who are essentially infinite beings who cannot die based upon the principles of God. So why did you create a human being who suffers from pain, ailments, disease, and viruses to die? Then somebody like, well, in the Bible, when Eve told Adam to eat of the tree and and the first sin came upon the earth. But God already knew that was going to occur. So why even create people? If you all are omnipotent, if you are all powerful, if you are all knowing, then why create us knowing what was going to occur to us? Why did you allow slavery to happen? Why are you allowing Black people in the streets around the world to get killed in murder with impunity? Why? But a preacher, a minister, a deacon would tell you otherwise. Brother, just have faith. This is fulfilling the prophecy. We're one of the 144 tribes of Israel. What that got to do with my mother dying in the street? What that got to do with my kids dying in the street? Oh, this is the prophecy is being fulfilled. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that an all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipotent God that already knew that everything was going to happen to everybody on earth, allowed this to happen for us to go through pain, suffering, and torture and chaos on this earth and in each and every country of one particular melanated race? Or that is what you're telling me? Does that make sense to anybody? Take away all the bull crap books you read and just speak from your heart. Speak from your spirit. Does that make sense? No, it does not. If you are all powerful being, all knowing and omnipotent, You created the earth and the heavens and the hell. Because you created everything. You created the light and the darkness. You created Adam. You created Eve from Adam. And you knew everything. Then why in the hell are we still suffering? Some people are going to say, well, brother, he gave us free will. Well, let me tell you. This is some bullshit. That's what I believe. Do I believe there's a God? Yes, I do. But none of this stuff that they have transcended and transferred down from slavery, because it makes no sense. It's okay that we stay in the projects, in the hood, and be poor and kill each other before what slavery has done to our people. And some of us still believe that slavery does not affect us. Yes. We have post-traumatic slave disorder. They put us in ghettos like Hitler did the Jews. And a peaceful people like we were started to fight and bicker and murmur and kill and trick and cheat each other. It was an experiment that paid off in Nazi Germany, and it's an experiment that they brought over here and is still paying off in the black community. Oh, well, that's black on black crime. Why? You took all of our opportunities by not giving us jobs. You took all of our resources by not giving us education and prevent us from reading. And then you wonder why. All of these things are not by happen chance. There's a cause and effect for everything. And we need to start to define what those things are. But when you start speaking out the Bible, I'm going to take you totally out the Bible. And I'm going to say, if this, and this, then why this? From the first day that you were born, you start to die. Why? Why does Greek mythology and Christianity is predicated upon you praying to give a deity power? Because the Council of Nicaea 325 AD understood when you fear a higher power, that higher power controls you through a reference book that we created. If you don't understand this, you are already lost. Steve Bryant, and God doesn't need a dime from anybody, but the church does. Oh, man. So Tip says you have atheist talking points. I don't have atheist talking points, brother. Because here's the big thing, and I've said it over and over again. You've been here majority of the time. I believe that there is a God. I just don't believe that he belongs to any religion. And I can't believe that he can be tied to any book and or literature and or documents. See, that is a human being in us. We need to anchor him. We need to tie him to something because we need to understand. You understand what I'm saying? We need to understand. So we got to have a reference book. People started to use the word ain't. Ain't was not in the dictionary, but now ain't is in the dictionary. So now we can commonly use it. Any deity, any God, any power needs a reference book. Because the one question somebody will ask is, well, where do you read that at? Where did you get that information? The book in us. We need a reference. This is how we were trained. So it's not that I have atheist talking points. I am telling you, I believe there's a higher power. I'm telling you, I believe there's a universal God, but I do not know who and what it is. Moorish people think it's Zodiacus, the mother of all creation. That's what the Moorish religion believes. Moorish people believe that Zodiacus, that is a deity of energy and power. Because essentially when we die, our spirit, aka our energy, still lasts forever because we know that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it had to be created at one point. That means if energy was never created, the energy that always was, that means that we were always here and that we essentially descended into human form. Uh-oh. So we can have the discussion, brother. Come on over to YouTube. Come on over to YouTube. Get off of Periscope. Come to YouTube, and I will leave a link in the description so we can have a discussion. I will allow you your chance to talk. I am putting this right inside the chat right now. You don't have to speak on Periscope because everybody in YouTube can't see it. Here's a link. With your video or without your video, click that link, brother, and you can have a voice. I am not a one-voice person. I just asked a question about it. So you can speak about what you think I am, what you don't think I am, but at no time did I ever said that I was an atheist. What I am telling you is I believe that there is a God, but I do not believe he belongs to any one religion. The problem with human beings, aka Homo sapiens, we have to anchor and tie anything that we believe into a book, and where and what books are created by men. And we create these books for a purpose. So there's the link in the description. There's the link in the chat room. If you want to come over and join me in this discussion, instead of this typing away behind your computer in your little safe haven, you can come on. But I won't argue with you. We'll have an intelligent, spiritual conversation. You will say your piece. I will say my piece. But if you want to stay in your safety zone, in Periscope, and type, I will no longer read your comments. My YouTube channel is Financial Literacy 101. If you can't find my YouTube channel, also type in Ross World. I'll give you a minute or two to make it here. Let's see. Steve Bryan said, brother religions, people can't comprehend that if everyone who was ever born never died. I like this. He said, comprehend that everyone who was ever born never died. There will not be enough food on earth to feed them. Their religion overpowers their common sense. Wow. Good point, Steve. If you don't mind me calling you Steve. Good point, brother. Really, really good point. Really, really good point. I'm going to put this link in the chat one more time. All right, here we go. Here's tip. I'm adding to the screen. Here we go. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hold on. I don't know. It might be my Wi-Fi. Every time you talk, it breaks up.
I can hear you just fine.
Well, what I was saying is when I said the atheist, I heard you say many times since you've been on Periscope that you believe in God. When I said but I didn't say that you didn't believe in God. What I said was you use atheist talking points. What atheists do is they bring up the same points of people dying, people sick, people living to die, people using the book for slavery and being mad about it. Those are the same talking points. Now that's not me. That's just the fact. Like we can go look up a bunch of atheists and just see what they say when they go against the Bible or they go against God. So I was just saying that talking point that you was using at the time matches what atheists say.
Okay, so somebody just wrote something in the chat room here, brother. Stephen Bryan said, disbelief in the Bible is not atheism. That's a really good point. Because here's the thing.
I didn't just say that. Say nothing about the Bible.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't. I just said your talking points. You didn't. When you just said sickness, death, being born, that ain't got nothing. That ain't the Bible. That was your talking points. All I said is that matches what atheists say. So what that person just said is unavoid. Because I right now in talking to you, because I am a Bible believer and you're not, but I don't believe in church. Most black men, we all were raised in church heavy. So most of us were pushed away from church. I know by the time I was 13, 14, I was on an atheist type of belief. By the time I was 16, 17, I started going down the Quran, started learning more about the Muslim belief. By the time I was 20 something, about 24, 25, I started learning about Kemet and the whole Egyptology. So it's like, and all of that ended up bringing me right back to the Bible. Like when you was just talking about like where the Bible comes from and all that. It's like, I don't think Nobody should believe in nothing without researching. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm telling you is before I came to my own personal beliefs, it was a bunch of research, and I believe everybody should do that for their own personal values and self. But when you sit
Well,
and talk,
let me ask you this question, brother. Let me ask you this
go ahead.
question. So when we talk about research and belief, and I understood that you weren't necessarily relating things to the Bible about that I have atheist talking points. And here's the thing: I've never read any atheist documents or
You
literature.
should.
But here's the thing I've done. Give me a second. Here's the thing I've done. I simply just sat down because my history, when it comes to religion of Christianity, I was an ordained minister. I went to seminary school, theology, all those things. The one question I have is this. Why? When you really break down any people who are consider themselves atheists, the question is why, and then a thousand questions derive from the why. So my question to you is, what do you believe in, whether it be any religion or not?
I believe in the book. I believe in the Bible. I don't believe in a religion. And when I say that, so and believing in the book tells you about 18 nations. The book tells you about prophecies for each one of those nations. Christianity don't. Christianity don't go into a physical. Christianity don't tell you that it says he died for his people. It said, let my blood be on them. When the Romans asked about like, why are we even doing this to them? The Jews, which I look at as us, our ancestors, said, let his blood be on us. We doing this. You get what I'm saying? So once again,
Okay, so you said you believe in the book, right? And what book are you referring to?
The original King James book.
The original King
the
James.
original translation, because even when we say that, that's another thing. You had said something earlier when you was talking about like slavery, how slavery used the book, and you was talking about how they only let us read certain portions of the book. Well, what happened when people started reading the book? You made that point. Rebellion started happening. Rebellion started happening for what reasons? Why did they start happening when people read the book? That's my question to you. I meant to ask you that earlier.
Oh well, I wasn't finished my point though. I can definitely address it.
Yeah,
so my question was,
I had a couple questions that on Periscope I was trying to ask you, and
give me a second tip. Give me a second tip. This is a mutual conversation, brother. There's no hard feelings here. I'm not emotionally tied to this. So my thing is, when you talk about the book and you believe in the book, my question is to you: what is your belief as far as the book origination? That is my question.
The origination of the books. Well, we know that many conquers went on. You know what I mean? But see, when I go into the research of the book, we know certain things was taken out. We know certain books weren't allowed. So I like to go more or less into the law, because the book can be manipulated as far as in, I don't believe they manipulated the actual words of the book. What I do believe is they didn't put certain things in the book, like how they took the Apocrypha out. You get what I'm saying? Or they didn't allow certain books to go in. You get what I'm saying? So those things, so that's still a manipulation. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not the whole truth. But the tangible part of it is when you do your research and you find out how many African slaves that got here knew who they were, who documented certain things, just like the guy put in the description on Periscope. But and he's not the only one. There's many people to document when they got to England, or they got to America, when they got an understanding of what the white man was teaching them as a religion, they questioned, like, hold on, those are my forefathers. And they documented these things, which meant on the land before slavery that they were living under the law. So even more than the book itself, I believe the law is the importance. You get what I'm saying?
I know, because I'm confused about if you read the law, you read the book, and then the
Yeah,
other question would be,
the people who
hold up, brother. I done gave you my entire platform. I gave you my entire platform. Let me speak here. The other question is, what are the other versions of the book? Because there's many versions of the book. You're telling me you believe in the King James version, where the King James version was who actually was over the King James version. I would like to believe King James in England, but is that essentially where God originated from? I thought Jesus Christ was Jesus Christ of Nazareth that originated in Israel, but that's a European document that was essentially transcended to America by the European immigrants. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to find out the origination of the book, because essentially all the different versions, we could talk about the Godiva book, and in the Godiva Bible, you ever heard of that Bible?
Yeah,
There's
I've heard
all
of
these other types of Bibles. So how do you know that the version of the Bible you're reading is the right one?
Well, I would think if we're going off of the book being put together, because we know this came off scribes, different things, like they got some from the Greeks, like the Bible comes from different parts. So in saying that the translation, I personally would go with the first translation, which most of them still say the same. There's tweaks of, you know what I mean, trying to put it under English, trying to put it under English understanding, which certain words in English change the meaning. You get what I'm saying? So this is where your research got to go in. You have to.
So you speak Hebrew.
No, but if I have a question about something, I'm willing to go look up what the word means in Hebrew. This is what I'm saying. You got to edify yourself. So it means if you sit and tell me the word world means one thing in English, or we know what world means in English, but you telling me it means something else in Hebrew, then I have to go do my research of whatever it was wrote in. Or if it means something different in Greek, then I have to go look into the Greek language to understand what that word meant. This is where you get the manipulation, and people can use the Bible because they'll take a English understanding to a lot of words and address it to the book. But once again, beyond the book, I want you to address the Igbo tribe in Africa before the Bible. They didn't have a Bible. They didn't have an actual book. You get what I'm saying? That they were living.
Oh no, I totally understand, but it's still not referencing that the Holy Trinity, God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit is a true deity of this world. Because essentially, when we're looking about it, when we're talking about the Bible, especially the King James version, it really doesn't matter what version. We know that they essentially came either from the Middle East or from Europe. And some people say, oh, well, you know, Europe, Middle East, and Africa was joined by this war, and they created a river, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. But let me ask you this: before slavery, essentially taught about 1445 by a Portuguese pope that essentially made melanated people slaves, there was no remnants or residue or information that derived from a book that Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior. They believed in many different gods and many different cultures, but any sense of Christianity or the Holy Bible did not remain or had any information in Africa.
But this is what I'm telling you. So how could the guy who I just put in the chat on Periscope, how could he document his life and tell you, or is it that you just don't believe that when he say they were living under the law, that you don't believe his documentation before slavery? Is that what you're saying? Like you don't believe the Igbo tribe when they tell you, hey, the African Americans of America are our people. Y'all got captured. Y'all are our ancestors. Y'all are our family. They got captured.
Well, the question with that, brother, when we're talking about slavery, there's actual records from descendants and people that actually pass down stories from stories to prove the fact. But here's the thing: there's actual essentially burial graves of African slaves that they can actually trace back with science to say, yeah, here in America, these amount of people derived from Nigeria, where the Igbo tribe is essentially from, and these were part of the transatlantic slave trade, that these guys were not dropped off in Brazil, they were dropped off in America. But this is based upon factual research data that we can go define. You can't define any person in the Bible. There's no remnants. There's no information. This is what people created in the book.
So you saying when the Igbo tribe is telling you they came from Israel, traveled through Africa, went through the slave trade, you're saying that has no bearing on what we read as the Bible?
I have not had anyone, and I know quite a few Nigerians say, tell me that. What they do believe is during white colonization from Europe, that is when the African continent was introduced to Christianity and the Holy Bible.
So I would challenge you to go do more research on the Igbo tribe, and they tell you exactly how they got to Africa, that they came from Israel, they dated out, they describe everything that I'm saying. They tell you about, hey, the people that's in America who calling themselves African Americans, those are our people. You have people, you just type in on YouTube, African American, just type in African American and Igbo tribe. And guess and Bible things are going to pop up around that, because it's going to go into the whole we are the Jews and all that too. You get what I'm saying? But in doing that research and listening to what the Igbo tribe say, the people who actually are still on the land and know their history, they said that they came from Israel. They said that they lived under those laws, and nobody has destroyed their history. So I would think that they know what they're talking about.
My question is this: where are these people now, and where their ancestry? Because the question still remains, brother. The question still remains that basically you're telling me that God is your book. Because if you can't reference it in the book, then it has to be fake. But if I can reference it in a book, then it has to be real. Because these essentially these people that you have one text, one essentially history of knowledge. But I can ask you things that are not closely related to the Bible, and you can't explain them.
Can you explain Hitler telling you that America had God's jewels in their possession?
I couldn't hear you. Say that again.
I said, can you explain Hitler telling his soldiers before his death that America had God's jewels in their possession?
Yes, I can explain it. It's called riches and wealth. Why do you think Hitler wanted control? Listen,
hold on.
People do things in particular reason. It's either riches or power. Riches or power.
So he told his soldier that the start of World War III and the biggest secret in the world that we were the real Jews of the earth. Was over riches and power.
Okay, but brother,
explain that.
What does it matter if we're the real Jews of the world? What does it matter?
But just tell me how that's riches and power, though. You said that's riches and power, so tell me how that's riches and power.
Okay, I can relate it. Who are the richest people in America next to Asians? Jews are.
I would say riches in the world is Jews all around.
Jews,
right? So, but Hitler is saying
who are the poorest people on earth?
Hitler is saying that they're not the Jews, though.
So, who are the poorest people on earth?
Well, everywhere you go, I guess our descendants or our family.
Oh, there's no guessing. It's us.
Yeah.
So you don't believe that this is a system of oppression worldwide with white supremacy, that this book wasn't curated and created for control and power?
I believe the book was used for control. I don't believe the book was created for control. It's a difference.
Who wrote the Bible then?
We will have to go back to the scribe that it was translated from.
Brother, you need tap dancer shoes. Brother, you need tap dancer shoes. Because here's the thing: I ask questions that I can't even answer. That's what's difficult. I'm not trying to corner you, but you saying I have atheist views, but it's not atheist views. These are people who are teeter-tottering. These are people who are essentially backsliding in their faith because they have questions that cannot be answered. And then the other question is, why create us for us to die? Why create us to serve you? Why? You're an all-powerful being. You don't need us to serve you or praise you.
But how
see, this is the realization that people come to. This is the realization that people come to when those questions are arise. They try to start pulling excuses out. No, forget the book, because without the book, where's your reference? Where's your God? Oh, well, this tribe traveled from this country and they went across Africa. What does that mean? Oh, we was the first Jews. We was the first Israelites. What does that mean to your essentially ascending to heaven?
See, that's another Christian concept.
It means
is on earth.
nothing.
But once again, you're using Christian concepts though. You're talking about ascending to heaven when heaven is on earth. See, if you believe the book tells you heaven is here, so you have to have a whole different understanding of what the book saying, what Christianity teaches.
You know what, brother? That's the truest thing you said. That's the truest thing you said since you've been on here.
Bro, you've said things like
everybody's interpretation is predicated upon their perception of what they read. Thank you. Thank you very much.
See, right there, that can be because if we both read something right now, if I read your name and it says Ross, it's no interpretation of what it says. If we both know how to pronunciate words and we both read English, there's no interpretation under that says Ross.
I can read your name tip and come up with all types of interpretation and perspective. Is he tipping his glass? If he talking about the tip of a mountain, if he talking about the tip of an edge,
that's you. But that's you once again. Well, I'm not going no further than Ross.
Oh, because you read things one way, and whatever you read, you believe.
No,
with research. With research.
But once again,
with research.
Once again, with edifying, of course. If you're not, if the point is not to edify, then you're not even trying to do research. You're just trying to believe in something. Like before I believe in something, I have to research and try to edify myself, or either I'm just making myself. That's basically what my grandma did to me. She just took me into a church and just told me to believe this. And when I had questions that didn't equal up to what the preacher was saying, it made me leave the church. But when I got a real understanding of what the book say with edification, it gave me a whole different interpretation.
But see, again, we're going back and forth. But the one thing that is very difficult for you to answer, and again, I'm not trying to corner you, is where did the book originated from?
Well, it's a lot of things, like you said earlier. Some people try to say that some of it comes from Egypt. Some people try to say some of it comes from the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've had arguments with the Dead Sea Scrolls. Like, so it's like, that can be.
So my other question is, why would you believe in a book that you don't even know the origination? You don't even know it's from God. You don't even know the source documents. See, you get what I'm saying? So there's all these documents out there. There's all these documents out there that people are saying, oh, it's from Israel. Oh, it's from Europe. Oh, it's from the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's from this. It's from that. But we don't know. But you're believing in the book, which you believe the book is from God.
Yes. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Which is still trying to go back and
I am not telling people not to believe in their religion. My original question was, where did Jesus Christ, was he African, Israel, or Arabic? Right? Because we get into these conversations about, is Jesus white or black? I don't know. That's the big thing about this podcast today is really, I don't know. And I know a lot of other people don't know. The point is they reinforce their brainwashing with the Bible, and this is why they believe. But when you ask them real questions, they can't answer it.
But I can't see. But this is what I would ask you.
Go ahead.
How could I get a white Jesus out of the Bible, like the actual Bible, out of what the Bible says, not church, not the picture? Because the description of Christ and the picture that they gave you for Christ don't match. Like if I'm a white man and I created the book, right? This is your point.
Go ahead.
I'm a white man and I created the book. I'm going to make the description of the prophets. I'm not going to make Solomon say I am black and beautiful. I'm not going to make the description of Jesus. His skin is as if it burnt in a furnace. I'm not going to say his hair is woolly. I'm not going to. These are just simple. You like to speak on simplicity. These are simple things. These are simple things that anybody who, if I dominated your people and wanted to change your religion or change what you believed in,
brother, the guy on the screen with his family is the color of brass, and he's Arab.
As if it was burnt.
Brass.
As if it was burnt. What color?
No. Time out. Don't worry, I got you. I got you.
Come on,
Look at this.
You do. I know you do. I know you do.
It says, fine brass today was burned in the furnace. His voice is a sound of many waters. Okay, cool. We can go back. What about this guy? He's darker.
Nobody out there is burnt. If you burn
Whoa,
something, you know what color it is.
They're not considered burnt. So if I compare this guy to this guy, they're not considered burnt.
No, because once again, this. Hold on, listen.
Okay.
The comparison ain't the comparison that you making between people. The comparison is the copper. So you have to burn copper to see the comparison. Now, now, if you burn a piece of copper and show me somebody you're comparing it to, then I will go with you. So then it will be the comparison that you're making. That is not burnt. Once again, burn some copper.
Okay, what about him?
Pick up a
what about him?
More that complexion could go, yeah.
But he's not. He's Arabic. Well, he's not. He don't even consider himself black.
I get what you're saying. I didn't say there wasn't nobody else on the earth that wouldn't fit the description, maybe.
Okay, I mean,
what I said to you is back to your original. Hold on. Back to your original question.
Indian people, they don't consider themselves African.
Jesus white?
They look brass. They look brass. What about this Indian brother right here? He look brass, right? Burned.
No, well, no woolly hair, no. Yeah, it's the description goes on more, but yeah, he don't fit the description.
And wait a minute, and if you really look at it, his hair can be considered wool.
The last one that you showed could be more considered the woolly one. Like if you show that.
The problem is, brother, black people, we are more onyx and ore, not burnt brass, because burnt brass still has a light tint.
You're not that complexion.
Because I looked up burnt brass.
You're a coppered color.
Look at this.
You're a coppered color.
This is burnished bronze.
Complexion of that African you just showed.
I look up burnished brass. I'll look it up. Look, that's still light. Burnished brass. Burnished brass. That's what we're looking at. That is totally different than this Indian guy, than these African guys. We are black like ore. We are onyx. We are not burnished brass, brother. I'm showing you the picture from what we know the colors to be. Look at this.
But hold on. So what picture do they give you for Jesus then?
Because man, you get all types of pictures.
But the description, but what's written in the book, whether it's us or the Arab that you're trying to show, it clearly isn't the white man who they tell us it is. So we can eliminate him. So now we can just do a process of elimination and eliminate him, right?
Okay. Well, I just wanted to show you that, brother, and the discussion still goes on. So hopefully you become a subscriber to my channel, and we would continue this discussion. I got a lot of notes on here, and I'm way over time, but I do thank you for joining me. Really good content, really good perspective. I do respect your perspective. You have a great day, brother, and I'll talk to you guys soon. This is Financial Literacy 101, and today we had a different type of discussion that was dealing about religion, and the brother Tip came over from Periscope to give his insight. I do respect it, but I do not agree. As well, he doesn't for me. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. And Steve Bryant, thank you. You put some really good nuggets of information. He said, Ross, please pull up your Newsweek magazine cover. Who do you say that I am? We are talking American Christian. Let's do it. All right. Steve Bryant, I would love to have you on the show next time. So please send me an email. I have my email in the description of this video. Send me an email. We can link up. We can have a really intelligent conversation and essentially give people different perspective. Go in goodwill. I'm out.